Let's just dive right into this explainer, shall we? Today, we are mapping out our digital world. We're going to trace the lines from those social feeds sitting right there in your pocket, all the way down to the invisible AI and massive global infrastructure that secretly power the whole thing. We're living through this crazy, unprecedented technological acceleration, right? And to really wrap our heads around our current reality, we've got to look at how these distinct systems overlap and influence everything, from our own personal mental health all the way up to international geopolitics.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 6 key areas. First, the social media revolution. Then, platforms shaping our culture. Third, the invisible AI engine. Moving on to global freedom and censorship, followed by ethics in a digital age, and finally, wrapping up with the future of tech. Let's get into it.
Section 1, the social media revolution, from analog to Web 2.0. It's wild to think about, but our media landscape leaped from slow, centralized information straight into hyper-connectivity almost overnight. I mean, decades ago, giant corporations and governments entirely dominated the scene, controlling all the broadcast TV and print. But then the internet, and specifically the Web 2.0 boom, completely flipped the script. Suddenly, cheap, high-def cameras and ultra-fast data networks gave literally everyone a voice. It's arguably the greatest cultural upheaval since electronic media began, putting the raw power of mass communication directly into the hands of billions of everyday people. But hey, before the cloud was seamlessly syncing our entire lives, we had to bridge the gap between analog and digital. Innovations like the classic USB flash drive or the disc-on key really ushered in this new era of post-materiality. Put simply, the physical things we used to hold, heavy photo albums, massive record collections, they all morphed into invisible data you could just slide into your pocket. It sparked this unprecedented, deep connection between humans and their tech, which perfectly set the psychological stage for the interconnected apps we literally can't live without today. Moving on to Section 2, platforms shaping our culture, the power of the feed. 1 billion users in just 5 years. Think about that for a second. TikTok's jaw-dropping milestone proves that modern platforms have absolutely perfected the art of capturing global attention. Unlike those early social networks where you only saw updates from your immediate friends, TikTok uses a discovery-driven feed. It capitalizes on bite-sized content, constantly analyzing your interests and demographics to feed you highly targeted, never-ending video. This isn't just an app. It's a fundamental shift in how human beings find, consume, and share information, and it's happening faster than any technology in history. But as we all know, this unprecedented connectivity definitely comes with some severe side effects. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we saw a massive 27% spike in both depression and anxiety among young adults. Now, while social media served as a vital coping mechanism and a way to connect during lockdowns, that number perfectly illustrates the double-edged sword of our screen time. For some, it was an absolute lifeline. But for others, the negative reinforcement loops built into certain algorithms seriously worsened their mental health, leading to some pretty severe isolation. Which naturally leads us to a massive question. How do these incredibly popular platforms actually decide what we're looking at? When our primary source of news discovery shifts from traditional journalism over to algorithmic feeds, how does that mess with the public's perception of reality? Well, that brings us right to the invisible mechanics actually running the show. Section 3. The invisible AI engine, algorithms and moderation. A lot of times we just think of AI and social media as, basic automated content moderation. But it goes so much deeper than that. AI curation algorithms are these incredibly complex automated systems that sort, translate, and viralize content across vast global networks. And their main goals? Pure engagement, attention capture, and gobbling up market share. These algorithms have evolved to fundamentally change how text is understood and distributed, and that leads to a hugely inequitable availability of news. In short, they are the silent judges deciding what goes viral and what gets buried entirely. And these algorithms are constantly wrestling with one absolutely crucial distinction: the difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation might just be a simple mistake or maybe a harmless urban legend shared without any bad intent. Disinformation, on the other hand, is deliberately crafted to deceive. We're talking bot farms or foreign state actors intentionally trying to manipulate voting behavior or just sow chaos and distrust. The invisible AI engine has to somehow parse all this out. And honestly, that's a task with monumental downstream effects on our entire society. That takes us to Section 4, Global Freedom and Censorship, the Geopolitics of Connectivity.
Zooming out to the global stage, the data paints a pretty sobering reality. In 2022, global internet freedom deteriorated for the 12th consecutive year. The very tools that promise to democratize the world are frequently being weaponized. We're seeing authoritarian regimes ramping up internet shutdowns, a huge surge in criminal charges against citizens just for expressing themselves online, and content moderation largely failing against election misinformation. So this digital matrix we built is actively being used for both incredible liberation and really strict dystopian surveillance. We actually see this cat and mouse game playing out every single day. On one hand, the internet mobilized the nationwide Black Lives Matter protests, helping organize millions of people in a matter of days. But at the exact same time, citizens in China were using clever vernacular, literally using ballroom dance references, just to bypass strict government censors to express their grief over a K-pop singer's death. It's a fascinating look at how digital activists are continually adapting their communication to outsmart the regimes trying to suppress them. Which brings us to Section 5, Ethics in a Digital Age, Navigating the Risks. Because when a crisis hits, whether it's a natural disaster or a global pandemic, the digital landscape can turn into total chaos. That's why public information officers have to rely on these 4 foundational steps to cut through the noise. They've got to align their messages with their audience, remain a highly credible source, be super consistent, and integrate all their communication components. In a world completely flooded with both misinformation and disinformation, getting life-saving facts out there via social media requires an incredibly strict, ethical, and structured strategy. There is just no room for error. And the ethical implications here aren't just social, they are massively economic. Just look at this. The global digital currency market is projected to explode from $0.7 trillion back in 2017 to an estimated $5.0 trillion by 2024. That is huge. It makes it crystal clear that the financial stakes of our digital ethics are reaching completely unprecedented heights. And right alongside this massive boom, the need for robust web server and network security is just surging, mostly fueled by the continuous multi-billion-dollar losses we're seeing from cyber attacks. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the future of tech, comprehension and adaptation. As we look toward the future, AI capability is just growing exponentially, and researchers generally categorize the incoming risks into 2 buckets. First up is prosaic, or everyday AI. This substitutes human labor for efficiency, which heavily disrupts the workforce and can push systems toward misaligned, purely profit-driven goals. Then there's transformative AI. This is the existential, almost sci-fi level risk of artificial intelligence rapidly accelerating way beyond human control. It's absolutely crucial that we proactively regulate both the everyday economic disruptions and these serious long-term threats. Now I know what you're thinking. How on earth is a factory air valve fit into an explainer on social media and global tech? But this HSV Air Saver module perfectly highlights just how far high-tech has permeated our world. Even the most rigid analog manufacturing industries are being forced to adopt highly complex, data-driven systems. By using software to pulse air 10 to 20 times per second, factories save massive amounts of electricity and resources. It just goes to show that digital efficiency and complex technological integration are completely inescapable. They're touching every single sector of the global economy. So the real question is, how do we keep up with all this? Well, a super revealing study from the OSU Technical Institute found a high correlation between deep technical reading ability and hands-on mechanical success. What that means is, whether you are trying to analyze a complex algorithm on your social media feed or you're operating cutting-edge factory machinery, deep technical comprehension is no longer just some niche requirement. It is literally a mandatory survival skill for the modern age. Basically, humanity is being forced to rapidly upgrade its own cognitive abilities just to keep pace with the tools we've invented. As the quote points out, a comprehensive use of knowledge requires greater cognitive powers, meaning a solid metric of technical comprehension is valuable absolutely everywhere, from the gritty factory floor to the digital office. The technology we use to communicate, build, and govern is entirely outpacing our traditional methods of learning. We essentially have to upgrade our own mental frameworks if we want to navigate this new matrix successfully. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. By 2030, augmented reality will be completely ubiquitous, and algorithms are going to move even closer to full AI reality. The digital and physical worlds are going to be seamlessly blended. So, are you equipping yourself right now to be an active, informed participant who actually understands the systems shaping your life, or are you just going to be a passive consumer in the digital ecosystem? The choice of how you build your technical comprehension is entirely up to you. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.
And remember, always keep questioning the tech around you.